Hello and welcome on behalf of this oral history project. I am IUN. I am Igor Vasileski, and I will be interviewing Katherine Stirling. Today is April 4th, and I believe the time is 1:15-ish. And we are located in the third floor of the Anderson Library in the archives room. Do I have your permission to record and share this interview?
Yes.
All right. So tell me about your childhood and any family experiences you've had while you grew up.
I grew up in Porter County, out in Jackson Township, which is kind of the boonies a little bit. But my dad was a union iron worker, and he would commute to downtown Chicago. And my mom was a psychiatric nurse until I got a little bit older and my brother was born. Um, but yeah, I went to school out there and uh, I graduated from Chesterton High School, and uh, being as that it was kind of out in the country, I remember on like after school or on the weekends and stuff, we would go out in the forest and build forts, and my dad even like made me a mini bike, which sounds like how do you make a mini bike, but I don't know. He put it together. So yeah, those were some kind of nice memories that I have that maybe somebody who grew up more in like city suburbs wouldn't have experienced, because it was literally like cornfields and forests. So, I got to explore a little bit. And back then, I was a little bit of a tomboy. So, being able to go out in the woods and be tough and stuff was fun and exciting. So I'm thankful for that part of my childhood.
So you went to Chesterton High School. Did going to high school like have any effect on choosing to go to IUN?
Well, I was, as soon as I turned 18, I started, well, before I was 18, I started working. I think as early as 14, I had an official job at just like fast food or whatnot. But even before that, I had had internships. One at Guidepost magazine, which, believe it or not, was uh, they had like a headquarters in Chesterton. So by going to Chesterton High School, I got affiliated with that and was able to gain some working experience pretty early on. Um, and what was the question again? I'm sorry. What?
Did going to Chesterton have like any
Oh,
effects of you picking IUN, or was that like always like the goal to get into IUN?
no. I mean, I kind of like saw the writing on the wall with a lot of people who went to school and they had this massive debt, and they, you know, they went away and they partied their years away and they didn't really get that good of grades, and then they ended up with all this debt. So IUN for me solved both those problems of staying home close to my parents, and I could continue working at like 18 or 19. I started working at Chase. So for a long time of my time while I was going to IUN, I was still working, and it made it easy to do both. And of course, like the price is right compared to other schools. I mean, I got into Purdue, IU Bloomington, DePaul. Like I got into all these schools, but they would send their thing, and they're like, "Well, yeah, but you're gonna owe, even after the scholarships and stuff, $26,000 a year, 30 grand." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good on that." So I'm grateful to this day that I, made a wise decision for my future, and I'm not like drowning in debt. And I thankfully have a good career, that I enjoy most days. And, a lot of what I learned at IUN helped, and opportunities that I got via IUN helped me propel to that point. So, yeah.
All right. Describe campus life for you. Were you in any clubs?
Like I said, I was working while I was going to school full time, so I didn't have that much time. But I was a part of the communication association, and is one of my. It was separate, but it might have been hosted by the communication association or something. There was some tie. This was almost a decade ago now or more, but there was a speech competition, and I won first place. I meant to bring in the plaque today, but unfortunately, it's hanging up at my parents. They were proud, but I got first place. That was cool. And then like I said, I was part of the communication association, so they would have like different events and for because my major was business and then my minor was communication. Um, Kind of like what does it matter if you know business if you can't communicate well? But obviously communications is a pretty broad spectrum of like marketing, interpersonal communication, public relations, that type of stuff. So I enjoyed that enough to be involved in the extracurricular, and I thought it would look good on a resume later on as well. But I had fun doing it to boot.
Mhm.
So
You did mention that item. You did bring another item. Can you explain what that item means to you?
yeah, I was fortunate enough to be at graduation. I made it into Beta Gamma Sigma, which I believe is like top 10% of the graduating class, or some other metric of academic achievement. Uh, so
You
I got
can
a
hold
little
that up. Yeah.
boutonniere pin. And then I remember I kept this in my little memento box that they had an induction dinner at Avalon Manor with like a plated dinner and a cash bar, and people were dressed up real nice to give these awards out along with the commemorative lapel. So yeah, and that's something great. I think I can still like get a discount on my car insurance or something for being a member. And it looks good on a resume, and it was just a cool experience to feel rewarded as well for pulling those all nighters or whatever to keep my grades up and stay on top of things. So I'm
Mm.
grateful for that experience, and uh, it's nice to have this little memento to keep it in mind.
What class would you say was the most helpful in your career?
Mm, that's tough. Like I said, I was in a speech class, which I think anybody who can improve their oratory and presentation skills, like especially if they're going into a business field, or it's really applicable to almost anything, but especially um, in client facing stuff, or where you need to give a report to your colleagues. That's all very helpful. And I got to be honest, at the time I kind of thought that some of the career classes or whatever, I was like, this is basic stuff, like I don't need this. But at the end of the day, that's what makes or breaks your career, some of these things. So it is more important than I thought, or um, the relevance is really huge. So um, yeah, I would probably say those overall, um, versus something. I think I had to take like a geology class or something, which was kind of cool because it like takes you out of your wheelhouse. But in another sense, I don't know how much I actually use the information, or um, but yeah.
So, what was the first thing you did after graduation? What job did you go for?
I actually, if I'm remembering correctly, I was able to take advantage of a paid internship at a local lighting and electrical manufacturer, and they took me on as a marketing assistant, which was a nice little resume booster as well. and I got some great experience. I did blog articles for them. I worked on the website. I did trade shows. I put into place a program with like NIPSCO rebates that they were offering, to present to companies and say, hey, you could take advantage of these, and we can help you fill out the forms. So yeah, that really helped me get my foot in the door with other opportunities in later on the line down in downtown Chicago and stuff, to take on more professional roles that were higher paying.
And can you tell us a little bit of what you're doing now?
Yeah. So, like I said, I worked in downtown Chicago for a little bit. I worked at a mortgage servicer right off the bat. I thought I was so cool taking the train in, and a job. It was in the Board of Trade building, so it felt very um, uh, exciting, and it felt like it was what I should be doing, or like I've got a degree and but eventually years down the line, I worked in more like account management and collections, and it wasn't really where my heart was at, along with the commute became kind of draining. So then I got into real estate, which I'm still in now. And I mostly do residential, so that's helping people buy and sell single family homes.
In the Indiana Northwest area?
Yes, yep. Uh, we're really close to Illinois, but I usually refer those out, and I focus on, where I came from, Porter County, and where I live now, Lake County.
Mm-hmm. Trying to stick to the community. Um, what was like the process of getting into real estate? Did you have any help? Did someone help you get into that, or was it just yourself?
Well, I actually bought my first, my first and only house so far. But I house hacked into a duplex in Whiting, which while I was working in downtown Chicago was convenient, being right over the border there. And my real estate agent, maybe he regrets it now. I'm in competition now, but he's like, I think you'd be really good at it. And I was kind of hit a dead end, or I just wasn't feeling inspired with what I was doing in my roles in downtown Chicago anymore. So I signed up to go take my test. Or you first of all, you got to take a 90-hour pre-licensing course. Don't quote me on these exact requirements, but you have to take a class, pass the class, and then you've got to take a state and a national exam on stuff to get your license. Then you got to hang up your license at a brokerage. So I hopped around for a little while, but I eventually found one that was a good fit for me, thankfully.
As a real estate agent, what's like a daily, like your daily job? What do you do on a daily basis at work?
Well, that's kind of a tough question, because some day, or every day is different.
Hmm.
But on average, I wake up and uh, I I try to go work out at least 3 times a week and kind of get myself into a good frame of mind, because some of the stuff that happens is really stressful. And if you do, if you're good, you care. So like when these stressful things happen in the deals, I take it on kind of personally. And the thing about real estate is you've got to constantly be putting new seeds in the ground. So like you could be totally stressed out about this, or you just had a client who, you had everything ready to go, and then they're like, oh no, we decided to go with somebody else, sorry. And like I'm competitive, so I take that personally, but you've got to be able to stay in a good frame of mind and keep, propelling yourself forward, and not letting those situations drag you down. Just as much as you can, let them just kind of roll off your back. What do they say, like a duck in water? Or, you know what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
But and that's probably the hardest part of the job for me. But making calls, door knocking sometimes. If I have an upcoming listing, I actually give them the once over cleaning and I do some staging. So maybe packing up my car, going and doing that so that it looks good when we start showings, picking up signs, dropping off signs, but mostly making calls at my computer, sometimes following up with the title company if somebody's under contract, making sure that it's progressing to the final, the closing. So
Is this like, do you work at home, or is there like an office building?
So there is an office I can go to, but generally, I tried to get away from the commute, so I do try to work from home as much as possible. But I have, a separate area with like a desktop and
Like an office room?
Yeah.
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 Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, IUN, for the affordable college experience, quality and affordable experience that I had. And like I said, I even got my foot in the door at that first job from them. So in hindsight, it was, I'm thankful that I went to IUN and I got the opportunities that I did.
Thank you for your time and sharing your story.